Alright, so I trimmed back that flange that was on here a little bit. It's about half the length that it was, and cut out 90 manual bend. This was a lot longer. It was about, had legs on it about that far as this 45 does. So trim that back. It goes down to about the frame rail right above the alternator, and looks like it's gonna clear just enough. There's a small gap between that and the primary. I didn't have to do any pie cuts, just a regular 90-degree 3-inch manual bent pipe. Goes right on down there. Let's see. I don't got my light right now, should, but you get the gist of it. So that's just gonna go straight down right there and dump basically right behind the alternator there. So next, I'm going to put a 45 on there, which looks like it should work out perfect and go right on past the rack. I'll leave this length here on there, and it's looking like I'm gonna have to cut this right where the bend starts and or ends, whatever, as the pipe is straight there. If I put this in there, the pipe is basically coming straight up. Let me get a light here real quick. Coming straight up, and it should meet up with that 90 that's turning straight down once I cut that leg off, and it should go down on through there, I think, and work out alright. We'll see here in a minute once I actually cut it. This light will stay. But yeah, it looks like it should pass through there, right up off the boot, right off the frame rail, right off the steering rack, hopefully. I'll cut that, and get it tacked on and see where we're at from there. So ended up having to cut more of the leg off from the 90, and I cut the whole leg that was on this 45 here off to make it short enough. If not, as this goes down, it actually ran into the K-member or whatever down there. So this has it just above the rubber boot for the tie rod, inner tie rod in there. So hopefully we keep all that from melting. Should be all right. Long tube headers pretty much get a lot closer than that as it is. So I'll throw it on here in just a second here and see if that angle right there worked. I just held it in there and use a paint marker just to draw a line to index it basically, and so you know where to weld it. Threw 2 little tacks on there real quick just in case the angle isn't right. I could grind them off and make adjustments still. So let me put this on here in a second and show you that. Alright, so got that tacked up like I said, and in there you see that there's a tiny gap between that and the primary, but as you see down there, I could spin this back and forth if it'll move. Let me loosen that up a little bit. Alright, so to move this back and forth, you can see all the wiggle room we have. If you look down here, let me get the light in a better spot. Lay it right on top of the header, so you can see the clearance on the frame rail. So you can go all the way over there, and you're touching on the steering rack or whatever, and all the way over here is the frame rail. So should be able to position that guy right there somewhere in the middle before I weld everything else up down below the car, you know. And we should have plenty of frame rail clearance from the alternator. Looks kind of close, but it's not. It's got plenty of breathing room there. So yeah, I think that should do it for the downpipe starter, I should say. It's got way more length than needs to go on there. As you can see, the long tube's still down in there, because the genius that installed the long tubes on this car, I guess they put them on the engine and then drop the engine headers and all into the car, because I don't know how else you would have got these headers to go onto the get them mounted to the head with these studs that are down here. And you can see right there that rusty stud there. They're on both sides on the frame rail, and then there's two more up there on the firewall. You can see them there, the rust a little bit. Those were piercing into the long tube header, the primaries on both sides. They're inside the header, like the whole stud. And usually you got to take those the cross brace that goes right here is just a little flimsy stamped steel deal. And it goes on these studs here. Usually you got to take those off to get headers on. At least I thought so. I mean, my car, when I bought it, didn't have those on there, and it had long tubes on it already. And I could not get these headers off for the life of me. And I noticed that the headers were stuck on those studs. So I ended up cutting the headers in half. They're just pace setters. People sell them used for like $100, so they're not worth a whole lot as it is. So I just cut them off and to get them out of the way, because the only other way I was going to be able to get them off is if I raise the engine up or something off the mounts, and that would have been a whole ordeal too. Cutting them took just a couple minutes. So yeah, that's why you see the primary tubes down there still on the car. Can't get the light on, but yeah, you probably noticed earlier, maybe right there at the end of the downpipe, you can see them. I just cut them right in half. And they're still stuck, or they're still on the exhaust system. I didn't finish cutting them all the way off of there yet, because I don't need to. But yeah, I just wanted to get those out of the way to start the mock-up on the turbo system. But it's looking like this engine suffered good old LS2 rod failure. Like so many of them died before from that. This one was unfortunate and enough and had that happen to it, but it's got a silver spray painted block and heads, so it's been replaced before. I'm guessing they put the headers on then and dropped it straight in as a whole unit like that, but that's the only way I can see they got those in there with them studs, because they were running right into them. I cut them off on this side afterwards, that way it wouldn't be in the way of anything I was doing. I got rid of that cross brace that goes over there, so that's no longer going to be an issue. Almost forgot. I was going to show you what it looks like from the bottom, from the frame rail. Climb under here real quick. You can see from the steering rack, or where the steering rack is and all that, the pipe has a decent amount of space around it still. So you can see here, if I bring it over here, it's on the frame rail. You go this way towards the rack, it actually touches the boot, which already has a nice hole melted in it from the good old paste shitters not being very good with their clearance there. So yeah, I'll probably put about the middle ground right there, hopefully, when I go to weld the rest of the exhaust up. And yeah, it's got some pretty good clearance there. There's a bunch of room above it still for the 2 1/4 inch pipe to snake its way on up there and join up with the turbo there. So yeah, that's next here. Downpipe looks pretty good. Got a good idea of what I'm going to be doing there for the rest of that. Now all I gotta do is start working on the crossover from that side. I got the jack stands on the lowest setting here still, so gonna bump that up a few more notches and clear some of this stuff. I got the cut up headers down underneath here and old jack that doesn't really work that well. Should probably get rid of that. But yeah, you can see the exhaust is still on here. They not sure what exactly they're doing here. They didn't like their cutouts there, so they capped them, and then they moved them over there, and then they didn't like cutouts on there at all, I guess. I don't know. They ended up welding a plate over it, so this exhaust is pretty hacked. It's gonna go anyways because it's not big enough, and you want nice straight flow through mufflers on it anyhow for the turbo setup. But we're probably going to end up doing like a dual 3-inch all the way to the back and a boost activated cutout right here, you know, right around where this collector basically is sitting right now, and just dump on the ground right there. That way you don't have any compromises on power at all with the 3-inch downpipe trying to go through all the exhaust. So got the turbo off of there, and went ahead and separated the cartridge and compressor side and all that good stuff from the exhaust housing, and tossed it in the vise here. I like to clamp like V-bands to their other end when I weld them, because one, this acts as a heat sink, especially for this one, but two, even when they're like on a pipe to pipe, like I said before, like a pipe to pipe connection with no heat sink like this or whatever, they really will warp easy if you don't have them clamped. More than likely they'll be ruined first go around. They won't ever really seal up ever again. So, but this especially acts as a nice heat sink. This clamp hardly even gets hot. So yeah, I got that all welded up and ready to go. So downpipe, the beginning of it is pretty much ready to go, and that'll be pretty much it for this video on the downpipe. Basically, that pretty much wraps up episode 3, getting the downpipe made and all that fun stuff. So episode 4, we'll end up making the crossover, come underneath the bell housing, get it up here and merged into the log, and probably maybe start on the wastegate, I'd say, in that one as well. Maybe not, depends how much footage I end up getting from doing the crossover and the V-band on the manifold here. I am going to take this manifold and go get it sandblasted, because previous setups I've wire wheeled them and just, you know, chuck it up in the vise here and throw a wire wheel in the drill, and that's not a whole lot of fun. I called a local guy and he said he could do them for maybe like $20, maybe $40. He's not sure. He wants to see a manifold first, so I have a few others I want him to sandblast as well. He wants to see how bad the rust is. I told him, you know, it wire wheels off relatively easy, so he just wants to see, though, first how long it's really going to take of his time to actually mess around with these before he gives me exact quotes. So I don't know, I might have him do them if they're like $20 a piece or something. That might be worth the money to not have to wire wheel these off, because I do like to paint them. I don't get them ceramic coated or anything, but I usually paint them with like a VHT, the 2000 degree like ceramic paint. Seems to hold up pretty well on the manifolds, as long as you get them pretty clean. So, and prep them well. The paint seems to stay on there for good 3-4 years. I don't notice too much flaking or anything. So yeah, I'm gonna go give that a try, have them sandblast that, get that those studs cut off, because you can't back those out. They're pretty much seized in there forever at this point, and get the V-band welded on and start on that crossover. But yeah, thanks for watching, and subscribe if you haven't already, if you want to see more, to see the rest of the build, and eventually this car over here, which is my twin turbo car. It's eventually going to be rebuilt with has a 5.3 stock 5.3 right now with a cam and twin China 72mm turbos. I got twin BorgWarner S400 75mm billets that are going on with a 6-liter. And I got a bunch of other stuff I need to update on the car, so that'll be coming up on the channel eventually, along with some other stuff. That's once I get this done. So yeah, if you could subscribe, share it, I'd really appreciate it. Trying to get to that magical 1K subscriber mark. So yeah, if you could do that, I'd really appreciate it. Help me out. Thanks.